You know, for an action movie, there wasn't a whole lot of action.
Yeah, I agree. There was actually more action in that intro we just recorded.
Okay, this is Broadsword Media coming to you today with the Bourne Legacy.
This movie breaks the trilogy. Now there's a fourth in the series, but a different main character.
So pretty much in this fourth Bourne, we have this guy named Aaron Cross. He's in the same program as Jason Bourne. They're calling it Outlook, and stuff has gone wrong, and now they're forced to burn the program to the ground.
The thing about this movie is you actually don't see, like we said in the intro, you don't see as much action in this movie as the other ones, unfortunately. There's a lot more story development, but not all of it makes as much sense as the past three movies.
For the first 45 minutes, nothing really happens. A series of events that take place, you don't even know what's going on. It's not necessarily like sophisticated, it's much more confusing, right? Eventually you learn later on, you put pieces together, but I don't know, at that point the movie kind of already lost me.
Yeah, the story was pretty complicated. It was pretty difficult to follow. But one thing I did like is that they actually explained how Aaron Cross actually had his super abilities, or not super abilities.
Well, I mean, come on, he takes these pills, these blue and green pills, and they are supposed to, amp up his mental and physical capabilities, and then it's really means, I guess, to say, like, when they don't need him anymore, then they can get rid of him, which they actually plan to do, but he survived the purge, as you can call it. This movie was a lot like a puzzle, where they had pieces that didn't fit, and then you have to grab a hammer, and then you have to hit them down. It's really strange. You have a lot of people that you're meeting for the first time, they're interacting with each other, you don't exactly know why. There was no real structure for this movie, right? And I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. Do you?
No, not entirely. I mean, they had some pretty interesting backstory at the beginning where they talked about, like, the trial that happened after the Bourne Ultimatum between Landy and Noah. But, like, when I first saw it, I was like, what, are they just going to show the third movie again? I mean, do they have to go...
They never really went into that well. I mean, they started a bunch of kind of, like, plot lines that they never really went anywhere with.
Yeah.
And then they just started a new one. The movie didn't really start for me until, like, an hour into it. Probably the first interesting thing about this movie for me is, I guess you could say, kind of the shootout at the... I'm not really sure what to call it, the R&D lab or something, where they were, I guess manufacturing this stuff, or coming up with, these pills or whatever, right? And it's pretty dark, and it's actually really good though. I'm not really sure I've seen another scene like it. It's kind of like impending doom, and it's coming, and you can't really do anything about it, right? From there, they go on to kind of, I would say, the actual story, which we see in the trailer, which is between Aaron Cross and this female scientist, right? And then they finally go somewhere from there, but it's still not that complete because they have such a short amount of time after that point.
Yeah, there was a Aaron Cross wasn't in that much of the majority of the movie like the Jason Bourne and the previous ones. Like, you could say maybe he was in maybe like 60% of the movie or something, but a lot of it was like dialogue between the people who were going after him, and there was a lot more of that than necessary. And obviously there was also the backstory with Noah and Pam Landy, and it was kind of random whenever they went back to it. Like, they went back to it at the most random times, and I didn't really understand why they did it here or there. And it just kind of was like a mix-up of just random things going on.
Yeah, that's why I said there's no real structure here. It's kind of like, there's a point where, Aaron Cross, they kind of go back to it, and it's like flashbacks or something, where he's in Alaska and he meets this other operative, and they're talking about stuff, and things are happening, and then he's being tracked by wolves, so I thought maybe it was like the Grey 2 at one point in the movie. You know, maybe this guy was hanging out with Liam Neeson, and I don't know, those wolves took, you know, their vengeance out on this guy. I don't know. You know, it's just not, it just wasn't that good.
Well, one thing we definitely agree upon is that Jeremy Renner, who played Aaron Cross, we definitely liked the actor and his character. They really solid character. I just think they could have used him better.
Both Jeremy Renner and Rachel Weisz, you know, they were great. You know, it's actually really interesting because Aaron Cross is a much different character than Jason Bourne, right? He understands what's going on, and you know, they try to eliminate him. You know, it doesn't work, and he deals with it much different than Jason Bourne because, well, he has the information, right? Jason Bourne's just kind of like figuring out the puzzle.
Now, I gotta mention the guy in charge of everybody going after Aaron Cross. He's played by Edward Norton. Now, I've noticed that actor, I'm glad to see he's in his element. He always plays a role like that. Like he's always in charge of like computers or something, or investigating whatever. So I felt like it was good to have him play this role, but it would have been nice to see more out of him.
His role was fairly insignificant, right? He was generally just at the headquarters the entire time. I think him and, you know, Aaron Cross only had one scene together.
And
you
that
know,
one scene was a flashback too, so it's like, you know.
yeah.
Let's compare this villain to, you know, how about the Bourne Supremacy, the guy Ward Abbott, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had a big role. You know, you find out he's the guy in charge of the he's part of that corrupt organization. He kills somebody off who starts to get a clue of what he's doing, and then eventually he gets what's coming to him.
Yeah, that guy's a badass. He just broke that. You know, he broke this agent's neck.
Yeah, and even in Bourne Ultimatum, that villain had a huge role too.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much in the old movies, you know, the Brian Cox character, the Noah character, they're much different than the Edward Norton character because they have different roles, different expectations.
Now, obviously, we both liked Aaron Cross's character. He just was not utilized as much as he could have been. And as I said before, there wasn't really enough action in this movie. But when the action scenes came, personally for me, I thought the action scenes were really good.
You know, I thought they were good too. I just thought they were kind of repetitive with the other movies. Well, as you can tell, this movie just really wasn't for me. It was poorly structured, and there just wasn't a lot going on. I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah, this movie, it was a little difficult to follow, although I did enjoy it once I actually caught on to what was going on. So I thought it was pretty good. I just didn't love it. So I'm giving it 7.1.
It's fair.
So yeah, that brings our average to 5.6. Go check it out if you like. Just don't expect anything greater than the previous Bourne movies.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us what you thought of the Bourne Legacy. Was it better than the other 3 Bourne movies, right?
And if it's better, well, I'd be surprised, but that's your opinion. And tell us what you think about Jeremy Renner's character, Aaron Cross.